So I am going to be doing a live tutorial. Good morning. Designed yesterday and I didn't finish it. So today I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and do it live. So I'm going to start from the beginning. This is the design that I started and we're going to finish it. We'll redo it, start it over. So I have my images. Well, I just have one image that the image of the little girl, and then the image that we're going to use, which is the Gucci um, logo, and it's just going to be an inspired chip bag for a birthday party. So first thing I'm going to do is pull in my background image or create my background image, and the picture that I have is going to actually square up with my background, and it's going to be one complete image. And I think I have that in my backgrounds folder. Let's see. I do. So this is what we'll be using, and I opened that up wrong. File, place. Whenever you're using an image to put inside of another document, you're always going to go to file, place, not file, open. We are designing in Photoshop. Did I pass it? This one here. So this is the image that I'm going to be using here. And I'm going to keep it just like this. I think it's perfectly set up for me to have this to fold around the back. These two sides to fold around the back. So I'm going to leave it just like that. And the next thing I'm going to do is to finish the rest of the background. And I'm going to create a square. And you can create a square and just do like a portion like this. Or you can do the entire thing, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to pull this whole entire thing out for my background. You could have done one side and then copied and moved it over to the other side to have your completed background. Then over here on the panel with my layers, I'm going to take this rectangle and move it behind the Gucci display. I'm going to double click on the outside of the rectangle wording. If you wanted to, you can change that. Let me show you how you can do that. Press cancel. And if you double click the actual wording, you can change it. And I'll just change it to background color. And then if you double click on the outside of it, you'll pull up a box. This is your blending options. Another way you can do your blending options, we'll cancel, and you can right click and click blending options, and the box will pop up that way as well. Okay, so in our blending options, what I'm going to do is do a color overlay because I don't want this box behind here to be black. I want to do a color overlay, which is going to change it red. And you click on the color overlay panel and it's going to bring up your options for your color overlay. I'm going to click on the red and I want to change the color. And I am just going to click right here on this burgundy portion of this logo design, and it's going to flip my color to that, which is the color that I want. Just to add a bit more detail, you click OK and it'll all stay. To add a bit more detail, I'm going to add in another rectangle or square, triangle, whatever you want to call it. Really, really thin. I did this on the original design. And boom, we have it. I am going to rename this. And I'm renaming things on my panel, my layers panel, so that I know which items is which. Because when you pull in squares, it's just going to, or rectangles, it's just going to label it as rectangle 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 3. So I always try and change the name of it. And that way I know exactly what it is. Stripe. And this one is also going to get a color change. So I am going to do a color overlay once again. And it is going to be this color green right here. And I am just going to move that over. And I'm just using my arrow key because I don't want to move it over too much or move it in the wrong place. So I'm just going to use my arrow key to move it over just enough to connect. And then I'm going to double click. Well, I'm going to right click and duplicate this layer. And I'm going to call it stripe 2. And when you duplicate an item in Photoshop, it just appears directly on top of the other item. So I'm just going to take my arrow key and move it over. So it is going over, and it's behind the Gucci label, so that's why you can't really see it. But if I go over here to my panel and move it above the Gucci label, you'll be able to see it move over. I'm just going to move that on over. And once I get close to the end, I'll start typing it, pushing the arrow to make sure that there's no gap and that it goes right over. So that was a gap, so I moved it back. Okay, so that right there is my background design. I think I'm going to add one more thing, which is what I added on the original that I started yesterday. Which is another square or rectangle. And I just want to line my chip bag at the top and the bottom with this color right here, this gold stripe, just to add more detail into the actual bag. So I am going to create another rectangle. And for this one, I'm going to name it bottom stripe. And I'm going to have to rename this, and I'll show you why. So on this bottom stripe, I am going to change it to be somewhat of this color right here. It won't be the exact coloring, but it'll be this color right here. And the way that I'm going to do that, because of course we don't have that color as an option. If you go to bottom strip and I double click it and I go to color overlay and I go in here to my box and I try and click on this, it's going to turn it like a yellow. It may turn it like a brown, orange. It's not going to give me this exact color. So I'm going to show you how we can get that color in here. So we're going to cancel that. What I'm going to do is file and place again. And in my internet designs folder, it's just pictures that I pull off the internet. I have a gold, what did I call it? Shiny gold. There we go. And this piece right here is just a piece that I pulled from the internet. If you go to Google, you type in shiny gold background. Didn't pull all the way up, and then you just pick one that you want to use to change the color. And I thought the one that I have matched very well. That is the one that I clicked on, and then I came in here and grabbed one of these, saved it to my computer, saved it inside of a folder that I wanted to use so that I could remember where it was. And so that's how I just pulled this in. And what you'll want to do is stretch this out so that it covers the entire thing. We could have also just used this. Yes, we could have also just used this. I wasn't thinking yesterday, but you could very well just use this as the outline. But say for instance, if it was a pattern or something like that and you wanted to use it, you would just hit the Alt key over here in the layers panel. You'll pull up a box and it will take this shiny gold piece and put it inside of our stripe. So just like that. So now it's in there, and you can take it and move it around. So you see how it has the difference in the colors in there, and you wanted to do that as well. You can just move it around to get those different colors of shapes inside of that box. I'm going to highlight these two, the shiny gold and the bottom strip, which is 1 now, and I'm going to make it 1. So I just hit the shift key, highlighted both of those, select my layers tab, and group those 2 layers. So then we're going to rename this again to shiny bottom. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to copy and make this shiny top. And it will take too long to just hold my arrow and pull that up, so I am just going to take this, pull it up, and just line it back up. So now we have our completed background. This is right here is going to be my completed background. The next thing I'll do is start putting in some of the items that I'll be using. And I'm just going to resize it so that she's in like right above here. And this right here is what I used, the picture that I used instead of the other one. It was a little bit better. Not perfect, but a little bit better. And let me see if I can take this. So this is the original that I started yesterday. I think I forgot how to copy from one page to another. Let me see if I bring these down. I don't really want to do that all over again, which I can. I'm going to do it just to show you all how to do it. So how about I just put that back, and then I'll put this one back as well. So next thing we'll do, sorry about that. We're going to go in and put in the wording for the chip bag, which is Happy 7th Birthday, Zariah. So I'm going to type that in, Happy 7th Birthday, apostrophe Raya. And this is all scrambled up. Let me show you how to change that. If you go over here to your character panel, and right now I have it set at 8.56. If I click down and click auto, it'll change it to be right. If that's still not good enough for you, I had it at 8 point something, so you can change it if you want it shorter, closer together, further apart, however you want to do it. This is just gonna, and I just put it on auto for this. Certain fonts show up differently, so that's why it was changed on my end. Yours might not be changed. Yours may still be just right at auto. For the Happy Birthday Zariah, I wanted to add a pop of color. Of course, it's just white right now because the color is white. And I can change it to be maybe like the reddish color or the goldish color. But I'm going to actually do the same thing that I did for these top and bottom stripings. I'm going to do the same thing and add that in here. So we're going to pull that same shiny background back in. I'm going to file place. Click on shiny, pull that back in. We're going to stretch that out so that it covers the entire section here. And since it's right above the wording, we're going to hit the Alt key. We're going to see our arrow pointing down and hit the left button on the mouse. And it's going to change that, and it's going to fill in to those letters. I'm going to take both of them, the shiny gold and what we filled in, which was the naming and the letters. Hit the shift key and highlight both of those. Go to layer type and group those layers. And I'm just going to name it so that I know what it is. I'll name it Happy Birthday. Gonna pull up my blending options, and I'm going to add a little bit more color to it. So I'm going to add a stroke. I want to change the color of the stroke to this deep color red. And if you can see, it kind of highlighted all around red. And you can widen that stroke or make it smaller. That's right here where this number 3 is. Or you can pull this over and it'll change it. So I'm going to leave it right here at the 10. And that just gives that a little bit of color. So the next thing I'll do is add in the nutrition facts. I'm going to go to File, Place, and then inside of my Downloads folder, I downloaded it from somewhere else. It is blank. It is a blank copy. Gotta find it. See what that's named as 228. There we go. Make it smaller. And if I pull it over here into the red section, you'll see it is blank. So I will have to add in what I wanted to say inside. I'm not sure what I wanted to say, so I'm not sure if I'll finish that right now. But right now I'm just showing you how to put together the chip bag itself, or the design itself. Delete. I am going to make it say on the top so that I don't forget happy birthday. We'll highlight this, change the color to black instead of white. I'm going to pull this up here. And it right there is where we'll put the happy birthday. And of course, all of these are probably going to say 100%. So I'll go ahead and put that in. So I'm going to hit the text box again and type in 100%. And I'm going to move that over here. Make it a little smaller. See how that looks. Pull it down just a little bit. And I just hit my arrow key to move it down. And that fits in there perfectly. So I'm going to duplicate this a few times. And I'll leave it as 100% copy because I'm not going to really move it. I'm going to use my arrow key to move it down. There may be an easier way of doing this, but I'm just going to duplicate it and get it inside of each one of these lines. And I'm using my arrow key so that it stays lined up straight. Not too time consuming. We got all of those done in probably less than a minute. And then I can take all of them, hold the shift key, highlight each one, and layer, group the layers. So now they're just one. So if I move it, it stays together. Just like that. Let's see. Let's pull in a barcode. See if I have one. I think I do. File. I'm gonna place. Let's go to desktop. Maybe not. I do lose place, even though I put everything in a folder. I do lose where some things are sometimes. Let's see. I pulled one up. Send downloads. Not showing one. So we'll just go here. Type in barcode. Images. And it really doesn't matter. We're just putting in a barcode. So I'm going to save this image. Name it so I can find it. And it went into our Internet Designs photo, which is just, folder, which is just a folder that I use for pictures that I take off the internet. Place. And we're going to shrink it down. If you hold the shift key, it's going to keep the same proportion. If you let go of the shift key, it kind of distorts the image. So we're going to hold the shift key so that it stays like it's supposed to. And I am going to move that right here. But I am going to change it up a little bit. Let's make it a little bit wider. So that'll be our barcode. Just some other things you want to add. You might want to add. I am going to put in the thanks for coming. So I'll create a text box. Thanks for coming. Let's pull that in a little bit. And we're going to make it a little bigger. I didn't put any bleed lines. Bleed lines would be like the top portion, the sides, all the way around this, around the edges, so that you know what will print, what will not print. For me, for chip bags, what I do is I try and leave a space over here because you know once you fold the bags over, it's going to gap over for you to attach them. I use hot glue when I'm attaching. Some people use double-sided tape, which does not work well for me. I'm not sure if it's the paper I use or if it is the actual double-sided tape that I'm using. But it never seems to stick well, so I always go for the hot glue. So that's my edging. I am going to click on this barcode. The nutrition facts, and then the 100%, not all of it. And I am going to move it over a tad bit as well. The happy birthday wasn't in there. Move that over. Now to move all of this over at once, the same thing we did before, we'll just take that group, shift, hold down the birthday, and hold down the nutrition facts, layer, and group layers. So now it's all one group, and we can move it around as one. And we'll name that Newt Facts. That way we know exactly what it is on our layers panel. Spacing here, I'm not sure what I want to put over here. I guess we could put like the number 7. So we'll put up a text box and do a number 7. Now what I'm doing is I'm just shrinking the box around the number 7, and then I go in and I make it bigger. You don't have to do it that way. You could also, let's delete this out. You can also create a text box and then just change the font size to, it'll probably be like 150. Yeah. And then type a number 7 and it'll come up a lot bigger. 150 was not big enough. So I'll still shrink it down. And then hold my shift key and make that bigger. I'll probably change the font of that later. Another thing I'm going to add in is text, nope, file, place, and internet designs. Let's see if I have like just a Gucci symbol or logo. Let's see what this one is. That'll work. We'll move this over. And I am going to remove the background on it. To remove the background in Photoshop, you're going to click this little magic eraser tool right here. And this bottom magic eraser tool is what will remove the background. You'll click in, hit OK, because we're rasterizing it, and just move the background. For this number 7, if I click it on the panel, I'm just going to change some colors of some things, because right now it seems like everything is black that's surrounding the middle of the paper of the chip bag. So I'm just going to change some colors of some things and add some detail to it. So that's what I'll be doing right here. And we just bring up our blending options. So I'm going to do a color overlay. Click the color. We're going to change that to the green. And we already have this in gold here, so I'm not going to really do anything to that. For this 7 though, I will add a stroke and maybe give it like that lighter color. Yeah. And red is our big primary color here, so I think I'll do the same thing to this thanks for coming. Color overlay. Then add a stroke, change the color. We're going to give it this lighter color. Click OK, OK. And this is going to be my completed chip bag. The only thing I have to go in and do is add in some things over here. But this is a completed chip bag. And I'll be back. I'll definitely be back later to show you all how to assemble the chip bag. So I am back with part 2 of the chip bags. We're going to do the assembly. I'm going to assemble just a few of them to show you all how I do my assembly. I know it's done several different ways. The only thing you'll need pretty much is a hot gun. I do use the crimpler, which I don't have here with me, and I do use the scissors to give it like the jagged edge, but I don't have those here either. So I'm just going to show you how I do the basic assembly. I thought I had the scissors here, but I can't find them. And then, like I said, I also use a crimpler sometimes. We did, after sending the mock-up to my customer, we did change just one thing. She wanted to add loading, and then behind that 7 I put a % sign, so that's the only thing we changed. So this is the complete chip bag. This is photo paper that I purchased from Walmart. Let me show you the package. This is the one that this is. It comes in 50. This one has 50 sheets. But I buy a bigger pack now, like with I think 100 or 150 sheets for like $20. But this is the package that I get. It's the Pen Gear brand from Walmart. They also sell photo paper, I think 8 sheets for $1 at the dollar store. I can never find it here in my dollar store, so I just go to Walmart and buy a big pack. I have this TikTok design, which I did not create. I did a TikTok before, and for TikTok, it gets really detailed with all this extra stuff that you put in there. So I don't want to take the time to do it. I usually just purchase a template from Etsy, which is what I did here. And I did have them place the picture and the name and all of that in there. So that's another one that I'm doing. First thing you'll want to do is decide which flap you want to go over. I'm thinking that I was going to do it this way with this going over here, but since I have more of a gap on this side, I'm going to do it with it going this way for these ones. And the only thing we actually need is the hot gun. That's the only additional thing. Since I'm not using the scissors or the crimpler, I'll show those items. Actually, I've shown them in another video, but I can add links. I just purchased them from Amazon. I think it's called a zigzag scissor, and a the chip bag crimpler is just I think it's really just called a crimpler. So you just put your chip bag in the middle, and since I'm going over on this side, I'm going to hot glue that side. If I was going the other way, then I'll hot glue that side. This is a high temp hot glue gun. I have both. I have the little smaller one it doesn't get as hot as this one does. So you just want to be careful with using a hot gun because they do get hot. You just fold it over, let it sit for a minute. I'll set that one aside and kind of start another one. Sometimes it is harder to get like bigger chip bags to fold in. The Doritos bag, if you can get those to work, they look so much better as a chip bag. The thinner ones, like the Lay's chips, are flatter, so they don't, they just tend to be really, really flat. So like the Cheetos and the Doritos, those tend to work better for me as far as look goes. But I use both. I buy a bag. I had a bag, brand new bag. And if it tends to buckle up a little bit, just take the hot glue gun. I hope you all can see, because I was not watching to see if you all are if I'm in the camera. But hopefully I was. Then you'll come back to this one. And what I do is I go kind of, not really deep, but just a little bit, and squeeze a little line there. And then just push down. What you trying to do?
Just face it more up so you can see it. Okay, boom.
There you go. So, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then squeeze that down. So this is what I'm saying about the flatter the bag. This is kind of a flat Lay's bag. I think this one was a bigger bag. it has more air in it, so we might get a different look for this one. I'm gonna let that attach for a minute. This is a high temp glue gun, so it takes longer to heat up, and it also takes longer to cool down once you put a strip of glue inside of whatever you're putting it on. It takes forever to cool down. Like, this is still hot. So once again, we're gonna do the other side. And that's the difference in the look. Like, this one is a lot thicker because there's more air in the bag. This one is thinner, but it attaches much better. This one, you might get some buckles up in here, which is okay. And like I said, if you were using a crimpler, you would just crimp this in, run it through, twist it, and it'll crimp to look like an actual chip bag with the little ridges up here. And then another thing I usually use is my zigzag scissors, and I'll use that to cut off the white edges. So that is a completed chip bag. I'm not a fan of that one, so I'll probably do it over. I don't like the thinner bags. I like the ones with more air in it because they tend to give it a thicker look to make it look more like a chip bag. All right, guys, thank you all for tuning in.